you ever felt like you didn't know what to do when your child was angry, upset, or really frustrated? Did it feel like your suggestions and actions were met with more rejection or more intense emotional responses? Hi, I'm Lisa Mulvihill, and I'm a psychological services consultant with the Waterloo Region District School Board. Today, I am going to use an example that I hope will help you understand an approach that you can use during these difficult emotional times. And this approach is called validation. Before we get into it, I want to be really clear. Emotions are good. Emotions are normal. They keep us safe. They keep us motivated sometimes. They let us know when something is wrong. There are times, though, when emotions can be really intense and overwhelming. And when our kids feel these intense emotions, it's really important to be able to connect with them so they feel understood. So validation is a way to do this. This specific type of validation is part of something called emotion coaching and is based on the work of Dr. Adele LaFrance. I really encourage you to go to her websites for more information on the full emotion coaching approach, which includes validation as well as emotional and practical support as needed. There are also some excellent free videos and tips on these sites as well. So if anger, explosive reactions, or safety are a concern, check out the video on the caregiver section on anger on mentalhealthfoundations.ca. The other website is emotionfocusedfamilytherapy.org. So I'll say those again, mentalhealthfoundations.ca and emotionfocusedtherapy.org. Okay, let's get started with an example so you can get a sense of what this validation is and how it works. Okay, let's say I have a child and her name is Sarah. Sarah has a presentation to do at school. The thought of doing a presentation makes Sarah so uncomfortable and nervous that she feels sick to her stomach. She believes that she is horrible at presentations. She gets very upset about the idea of doing a presentation to the point of crying, screaming, and she really wants to avoid it at all costs. Okay, so what's your first reaction to this situation? I can tell you what I would do before I learned about validation. I wanted to be a fixer. I wanted the stress and the upset to go away for Sarah because it's hard to see our kids in distress. I might say something like, it's okay, you can do it. This is hard, but it'll be all right. You're smart. It's only 5 minutes. So you get the idea. My intentions were good. I wanted to make her feel better, but I was not meeting Sarah where she was at. In fact, saying these things can make things worse. It's like when someone tells you to just relax when you're upset or calm down. That really doesn't help. So here's an example of what I could say that I found works a lot better. And this is an example of validation. Sarah, I can understand why you feel really upset and completely overwhelmed about this presentation because you really feel stressed and sick to your stomach. And because you don't feel like you're very good at presentations. And because, you see other kids doing presentations, just seems so easy for them. So there are a few things to note about this validation. First, I've really tried to meet Sarah where she's at, using language that works for us. Okay? I've done this by saying, I understand why she feels upset and completely overwhelmed. Now, for older kids like preteens and teenagers, you might want to use different wording, like, no wonder you feel stressed out, or of course you're overwhelmed, instead of I understand, because, as you might know, teenagers might not believe that we really understand. So again, use your knowledge of your child to guide your wording. It's really important that you use language that you're comfortable with so that it doesn't come off as phony or too scripted. Next, I gave 3 reasons why she might feel this way. These are the 3 because statements about why she might feel stressed about her presentation. Again, I used my knowledge of my child about why she might feel overwhelmed. Now, you don't have to get it perfect, and don't stress if you can't think of 3 becauses. 3 becauses is the goal. But if you state a reason that is wrong, your child will probably let you know. So use your best guess and give your child a chance to correct you. This will empower them and allow them to learn about and allow you to learn about their feelings and their worries. Again, the other thing I did in this validation or tried to do was take my time. It's a lot of words sometimes, so I took a breath, I tried to space it out, and I used a tone that met her emotional state. Not completely overwhelmed and hysterical, but a sympathetic kind of tone to meet her where she's at. Now, I'm going to flip things a little bit and tell you what validation is not meant to do. Validation does not mean that you let your child do whatever they want because they're upset or stressed. It is really important to distinguish between meeting Sarah where she's at emotionally and agreeing with a behavior like not doing the presentation at all or not going to school. Like many people, Sarah might want to avoid the presentation or procrastinate about it. Validation is not about encouraging avoidance behaviors, not at all. We are validating the emotion where she's at so we can bring that emotional reaction down to a level when then the child is prepared to cope with the situation. Also, validation doesn't mean that I'm agreeing that Sarah is terrible at presentations. But what I'm doing is agreeing that in that moment, Sarah believes that she's not good at them. It might seem like a small distinction. Presentations may or may not be a strength for Sarah. But the point of the validation is to meet her where she's at in that moment. I understand why Sarah might feel that way. So the idea is that by meeting Sarah where she's at, by naming the emotion and providing 3 because statements or reasons why she might feel that way, I'm actually bringing her emotional reaction down to a place where she can cope. Now remember, when people feel really emotional, moving too quickly to problem solving or being a fixer can really backfire. This is because when we're really emotional, the emotional part of our brain takes over. And the thinking part of our brain is not online. So in a nutshell, it means that we're driven by our emotions in those moments. We can't use the thinking part of our brain to problem solve. So trying to problem solve with a person who's really emotional just doesn't work, can make them feel more emotional and feel like you're not listening. It's really frustrating. So take a breath yourself, slow down, meet your child where he or she is at emotionally, validate. Name the emotion. I understand why or no wonder you feel frustrated, upset, angry. And then provide 3 because statements or reasons why they might feel this way or why this might make sense. Empower yourself and your child by connecting in the moment with their emotion. Again, by doing this, you bring that emotional state down to a calmer level. And by validating, we give the sense that the emotion is okay. We should acknowledge emotions, sit with them, learn to cope without pushing them away or moving too quickly to try to problem solve. That is a really important skill for our kids to learn and to use in their life. So it's not always easy in the moment of emotional upset to say, oh, I'm going to validate. It's so practice. Practice with your partner, practice with a friend, practice in front of the mirror to come up with some validating statements and because and reasons why so that it feels more comfortable for you. So practice, but be kind to yourself. It's not always perfect off the start, but you'll get the hang of it. I hope that this gives you a sense, a beginning sense at least, of validation and why it's helpful in supporting kids and adults actually when they're feeling overwhelmed, upset, or angry. Remember, there's more information on Dr. Adele LaFrance's websites and the full emotion coaching approach. So remember, see emotionfocusedfamilytherapy.org and mentalhealthfoundations.ca. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me for the video on Waterloo Region District School Board Psychology YouTube videos. Have a wonderful day. Take good care.